Were you trying to go get some water?
I was going to go get something to put under my cup, but I guess this top's not that really important. So.
You're live too, by the way. Just letting you know. Right. So as we've always said, these are supposed to be incredibly informal. So just so you know, Joe, there's camera 1. That's camera 2. That's yours. It's the little guy over there.
Oh, you switched up on
Yeah, you are. So
I've been demoted.
You've been demoted. So here's yours. But look at that. Look, nice holiday color. You get the you get the Christmas tree in the corner, whatever that is.
Santa's sleigh.
Santa's sleigh.
Yep.
I get nothing. I get a window.
Wait a minute. Kyle needs
and you get Kyle. So here's something, if anybody ever pays attention to it. Joe's moving Kyle, which is this weird little gummy guy. Kyle is probably in 80% of the videos we've made.
95.
You think so?
Yeah, 95.
So we've only had one person ever say, hey, what's that weird looking thing that's always in the video? So we're waiting to see if students ever catch it and make it a game like a Where's Waldo kind of
like
thing.
Extra credit.
There you go.
But then we need to make a map. That would take a long time.
An answer key. I think people can figure out their own answers. But all right, we're going to chat a little bit today. 2 different things. We're going to continue on to talk about some of the learning management system topic that we started. I don't know if it was in one of these sessions or if it was our lunch and learn. But we got a couple housekeeping things to chat about, and we may have a guest join us in a little bit. And I thought she was coming on at 1, but we'll see. So one topic, we made a change. So those of you that are accessing our instructional resources, we've gone through now, and almost all those resources you can click on and get access to and view, but you can't make a copy of or print them.
Right.
And that's just a way that we're using to protect our intellectual property. We're giving a lot of access for free to people for a ton of stuff, a ton of courses, a ton of content. Our premium content does have more than our free content. We have deeper question banks. We have actually whole courses that are part of premium and not part of free. But the topic being, on those resources that you can get to from our resource catalog, those you can't make a copy of, you can't print them, or when I say can't, you literally don't have the ability. It's a Google document and doesn't allow you to.
Permissions are turned off.
Right. That is different if you're on premium service, and we are making one change. We had a last lunch and learn. We had one of our teaching partners say, hey, I use these quizzes and I like to print them out, but then all of a sudden that functionality went away. So we're returning that functionality to you. So we're now taking all the quizzes instead of a Google Doc or a Word doc.
It was a Word doc. Always been a Word doc.
We're now making those into PDFs, and the PDF should give you access to be able to print them.
Right. So that would be the student version, no answer quiz document will now be a PDF. And they're almost ready, almost online. They just need to be
relinked. So here's actually, you know what brings up
yeah, that's a good thing.
A piece. Maybe go to the resource catalog if you can, and we'll look in there. Any user, I'm going to bring this up on camera. Go ahead and go into one of the courses, maybe Power Saws or something. And what you will see, let me bring us up there. Now, when you scroll down, go to resource tabs. Yep. All these links there, they say, what's it say? teachlink.online and then something else. If you use those links and use that embedded in your learning management system, when we change the source destination, you don't have to do anything.
Right.
It just automatically happens. And that's why we use those. So that's a permanent URL for you to use. We can change where it's pointing. So in this case, the one for, it was basic power tools I did for one teacher who was about to use that quiz. It was pointing to a Word doc, a couple clicks on our end after we do some behind the scenes work, and then it was now it was pointing to the PDF, and he didn't have to do anything. Now, if you click on them and it goes to whatever source it is and you steal that URL, There's nothing I can do to stop you from doing that. But here's what's going to happen. When we update things and point to new files, you don't get the new file. And once a year, when we delete those source files and put them in a new place just to protect ourselves, every one of your links on your learning management system will break.
Right.
So use those links that say teachlink.online, and you won't have a problem in future pieces.
Right. And all the effort and time you spend to put into your LMS to set it all up would be a disaster if you use those original source links. So use the teach links and it'll solve that problem.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
have there been any, have you heard any glitches with the teach links with like a filtering system that
no, I haven't. Uses? And Joe's alluding to, because sometimes schools, you have things that are locking things down. This is it's called a relinker. So you've probably seen them before, Bit.ly or OWL short link, short codes are sometimes what they're called, but people can use them for nefarious reasons and redirect you to inappropriate sites or something. We don't do any of that for obvious reasons. So but I haven't seen anybody say
nice. Yeah.
Nothing yet.
Yeah.
But what happens is then when a school is using those links, they not only have to allow a student to go to YouTube, which might be the end destination,
right?
They have to allow Google Drive, which usually they do, but they also have to allow that link.
Sure.
It's instantaneous. It goes there, learns where it needs to head, and goes to the source file.
Sure.
But that has to be provided as access.
And I think I'm accurate to say that every one of our links you can identify it as the proper link because it says teach link in it, right?
Right.
There's no exception to that for a video, any other document,
Correct.
PDF, anything.
Correct. But we have a lot of partners that worked with us. Go ahead and go to the top here. Or, I'm sorry, go to live, go to resources. Sorry.
Okay.
And then go to old catalog.
Yeah.
So those of you that have seen, go to old catalog. You didn't go there.
Oh.
No.
Come on.
There you go. So those of you that have seen, go ahead and click the, oh, you're not logged in. That's why you can't do anything.
I was. It kicked me out.
Yeah, sure. I believe you. So maybe when you've got Rick James in there. So now click that green button. Those of you that worked with us and remember this document, it is what, 20 pages or something like that?
Yep.
That is our old way of sharing content before embedding it and building it in our website. This is going away in another 21 days. The end of the year, this is gone.
Right.
And all the files that it linked to are gone. The only way to access the free content will be through our relinked information. So
which would be this.
It's going to piss a lot of people off, and you can call me and complain, but dude, it's free. Get over it.
Right.
That's basically the response I'm going to have. Maybe not the dude part, but look, we've got to do that to clean our system up, and we're going to do that every year, probably twice a year. So if you don't use those relinkers, your stuff won't work.
And honestly, if you're going from this to this, and I like this new interface anyway, it's a lot better.
I think it's cleaner.
And it also has some extra features to it, which would be, it's hinting at the competencies related to all this information,
sure.
Some other things too, learning objectives, that kind of thing. And also it will it'll show you what you're missing if you're not using the premium stuff. So
one would hope.
Right. So I love, if I was teaching direct to students these days, this would be definitely an upgrade.
Well, that's our goal. Obviously, from a business model, we provide content for free to you to help you out, but it's also so hopefully you spend some time using some of that and you want some of our better stuff or more complete or other courses, like our Windows course, which now has 5 videos to it. We talked about it last week, but we now have what is a window. Right. We have the tools for installation.
And materials.
Right. We have the installation process, and all 3 of these are on YouTube right now on our Trade Skills U YouTube channel. We just finished a new one yesterday, which will not be on YouTube, but that's geared more for the construction management student or the superintendent or the supervisor. It's really it comes out to about 15, maybe 18 minutes of this window installation, reviewing from the boss's perspective, what do you need to know?
Right.
What are you looking for? Is this done right? Knowing that the viewer of that video probably will never install a window. And you don't have to, but you should know what are the 10 things you should know.
Well, there's so many steps to it. Yeah, there is. And there's so many people that don't know the steps. That's what's so amazing about things like a window installation. Just the process is so critical too. Any one of those steps you leave out and you have either voided your warranty or caused failure with a window.
Right.
So important information for sure.
One would hope. So we shall see. Now, we were going to have an interview today, and we're going to have to reschedule it for another time because I don't think she's been able to connect in. But I've threatened to talk about her several times.
Right.
Her name's Ann. She is running as a substitute teacher program in Pottstown, Pennsylvania. And I can't get over it enough because come in as a elementary school teacher and asked to be a sub for a construction class of 16 young men and a young woman in the class, one or two.
And do it online.
And figure out how to do it online. Yeah, it is the perfect example of how our stuff can actually help a lot of people.
And she is now will be replaced, correct?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I heard. But we'll make the assumption that she knows that. So.
But she was using the facilities manager. What was she? Who was doing the online stuff?
Sorry, I was just checking to make sure we had audio on our stuff. Say your question again.
They were doing hands-on.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So she was doing, and still is doing, the online class with students.
Right.
They watch the videos that we've composed and all the tools we have, and they have access to our learning portal.
Right.
And then they have somebody from their facilities department who is spending time with students, going through skills exercises and doing the tool-based training.
Right.
So obviously not ideal from every sense of the word, but it's so impressed on how well everything's been going with their program. So
well, we did that session with those students, and it's
explain that a little bit. I think it went well.
Right. So I think there is maybe an advantage to that model that you didn't mention.
Mm-hmm.
You say it's not ideal. I would argue it might be because you've got a elementary school teacher that is drilling these kids for vocabulary terms and being very thorough with the online information. And then they're handed off to the other what they call that? A
paraprofessional?
Paraprofessional to do the skills exercises. So they're getting two voices on the same information. And an elementary school teacher evidently is very geared towards the academic side of it. So she was.
I know when I was in my shop classes in high school, I bet you an elementary teacher would have gotten me to do a lot more than what I did. Yeah.
Well, as far as the informational side of it. So those students came online and they had a list of questions for me. Some items they could not find in the resources, and some were just questions about building, general questions about building, or maybe they had a project they wanted to understand what were the best tools, fasteners, whatever to use. I was impressed by the information, but not only the questions they were bringing, but also their thought process beyond just the resources they were using. So obviously maybe two voices is always good, and you're always going to have to hear from me if you're online, and I apologize for that. But now you also have a trainer in-house that you're hearing from too. And in my experience with training, as long as there is some alignment and there's some understanding of what they're getting before they come into your workshop, there's no detriment to hearing two people on the same information.
I don't think there's a detriment. I think you just have to make sure both those people are really in sync.
Right.
We both Joe and I ran a training program before called the Colorado Home Building Academy, and I think that's where we've tried a lot of things, and some things worked great and some things didn't.
Right.
But where I always had an idea that I wanted to have any class happening at any given point that we could change an instructor.
Right.
You pushed back a lot on it, and I respect the reasonings and such. But it was really a goal was if somebody, I always hate using got hit by a bus metaphor, won the lottery and didn't show up anymore, how do you have that class go out without a hitch?
Right.
But we never had to do it. really.
But you were always looking for a universal set of rules and information that everybody agreed to. And I think that's true. The worst thing is when you get a trainer in and they say, oh, that's no good, or that's not right. And
that's usually the sign of a bad trainer.
Yeah. And it's, tearing down the whole wall of this information the students are getting delivered. And now they're struggling with what is truth. And
right.
You have to be careful as a trainer, and you have to work as a team. So,
yeah.
And along those lines, if I blow something in a video or a resource, I would love to hear from somebody about it, because there are regional differences in all of this stuff. There's personal opinions, and we don't want to come on too strong with opinions, but you have to commit to something in all of this, and there's never just one way to do something.
Right.
So anyway,
speaking of not one way to do things, and I may have put it live on the screen inadvertently, but one of the things I wanted to show, and I'm going to bring it up here, is does that format work? This one probably works better. Is the Google Classroom. So we talked about it. I don't know, it's our lunch and learn. They all stream together now, but the fact that I wanted to hate Google Classroom.
Yeah.
And Google Classroom is an online learning portal, if you will, for free. So we've got Schoology, which we've used, D2L, Blackboard, our learning portal. Canvas is a good one. And there's bunches of them, of them. Google Classroom is becoming really popular. So I made a class one Saturday night, because I'm a really exciting person during COVID, and said, well, let me play with it. And I invited you to this class too.
I've been in the class.
Okay.
I've taken tests in that class.
So I'm going to bring it up here. And if you've never used it, you can go to classroom.google.com and you can start creating classes. This was about an hour's worth of time messing around. So I'm going to go into this class. What is this? I don't need that. This is a class. I dropped a picture in it, and I kind of want to talk about it a little bit, because it's not bad.
Which is amazing that you say that, because
I'm the most critical person most of you are going to ever meet.
He's been saying no to Google Classroom ever since I've known him, and that's been a while. So
yeah, I still don't like it. I don't love it, but it's not bad. So here's what I did. I made some with our free content from our Measure and Mark course. So this session, or these streams, are supposed to help us promote our products, but in this case, we're talking about promoting our product and use it with a free learning platform. And in this case, so here's Google Classroom. I made it with our free content. The page that comes up as a default, let me make this a little bit bigger on my screen, is kind of like a stream, a posting, like blog posts, new things that were available. The class work, I think, really is more of that tab that a student would spend more time looking at. You're going to see, if you've never seen Google Classroom before, I'm logged in here as a teacher that can create it. So obviously I have a create button. There goes Kyle. I've got lessons in here, or pieces in here, that look from a teacher standpoint.
Right.
But it's not bad. So here is, you click on it, it brings up a little bigger window of what's inside it. You can have a full description in this area. And then this what I'm doing here is just linking to a URL. Now, what I don't like, and this is tying back to us recommending use that teachonline.live
relink.
Right, teachlive.online relink stuff. It doesn't look as good in here as if you go right to the YouTube video.
Right.
But you run the risk, and you can link right to our YouTube video. You run the risk when we delete that video because we uploaded a new one, because we updated the content, your class is broken.
Right.
So if you do it, it's on you.
Well, also, I think a lot of our ideas or philosophy about LMS and student interface is the better that it looks, the more graphic, the more intuitive it is, the better experience the student has, the longer they'll stick with it, they'll follow through with it. And I think that's what's lacking in, we always thought it was lacking in Schoology as well, to a degree. To a degree. That one, at least you could put still images in to make these look a little bit better. Right. But it's also what leads the student through the whole experience. Right. And when you're not able to be there with them for those moments, do they succeed at this navigation?
I don't know, but it's free.
Right. Well, no,
I'll keep coming back to it. It's free. It's
right.
not a bad deal. I'm going to go over here and turn off our overlay.
I'm a sucker for graphics.
I'm sorry?
I'm a sucker for graphics. I want to, well, I'm just partial to.
I guess I do too. And I like that it can be, I guess, graphically driven.
Yeah. I was always disappointed with D2L, but that's sort of geared for adults. And I understand that, but it's not a very graphical interface.
Right. So let's see, what else we had? The quizzes was really what I want to talk about. So they do have quizzes. You can make quizzes. You can set the quizzes to auto grade. You have to do something to trigger for those grades to come into a grade book. But they're a pain in the ass to make. So
based on a Google form.
Yeah. Because you're using Google Forms to make them, and they're better than they used to be.
Right.
But this is my quiz. I tried to make it look as pretty as it could be by dropping some of our images in there.
Sure. Looks good.
But you can't do a drag and drop. So this is the only attempt that I came up with using image-based questions, if you will. Right. So in this case, I had to label this by part.
Right.
And then put a part down here and use a radio button.
Right. Or
a check mark kind of thing. But
you
can select multiples. It's not going to grade it as correct, but
it's basically a matching.
A fancy match. It's not bad. Multiple choice it handles just fine.
Right.
But
which is a large portion. Well, it's a large portion of our old quizzes. We're definitely adding a lot more matching graphics-based stuff. Right. So
now this takes a lot of time to create. Quizzes take the most time out of anything when we're making the stuff on our learning portal. But it did take me a while to create these. So what I'm interested in is if you're watching this and if you are using or plan to use Google Classroom, we're thinking about putting in the hours and making courses that will not be part of the free service. I'm not spending my weekends building classes just to give them away. Look, I love all you guys and ladies for doing this work, but no. So now it could be we look for sponsors, and maybe it's a Stanley tool that says, hey, if we sponsor this, Stanley, if you ever find out you're watching this, love to get sponsorships from you, and we'll give all this stuff away with your name on it. And I guarantee you, everybody who uses it today will use it with your name on it.
Right.
But the question being is there a value to you? I don't care if you have a budget yet or not and all that other stuff, but is there a value for you to be able to get these courses in Google Classroom as a package and say, here you go, here's everything you use? If there is, then maybe we'll put the time in and make it and try to sell them down the line. If there isn't, that's cool. I get it.
It might be that Google Classroom is the universal do-it DIY platform for teachers to just customize their.
It could,
and that would reject the premise of the.
I'd also be interested in someone to leave it in a comment if you're watching. Can you share a Google Classroom?
Oh, right.
So I created this course, and I can invite you to it, or I can give you the enrollment key, which is right here.
Right.
So anybody who's watching, there's the enrollment key for this test. Feel free to jump in and poke around in this one. If you know how to use an enrollment key. If not, that meant nothing to you, and don't worry about it. So I'm going to use this as a test bed, and we're going to finish it out and build a whole bunch of other assignments in there. We've got tape measure already. We have, what else is in there? Speed square. And I didn't put the quiz in there yet, but I did link like vocabulary. And this has comments. Here's the vocabulary piece. But if you notice, tying back to what we were talking about before, this is using the teachlink.online URL.
Right.
So because if we didn't, and we used only this where it gets sent to, that's going to break.
Right.
It won't work forever. No promises from our end.
Right.
That was pretty small speech square vocabulary. The other thing we're doing on these is setting up instructor resources. So this is one thing I did want to talk about. In our portal, we set up instructor resources. Let me go ahead and change this. We set up, oh, right on your nose. We set up instructor resources to be a separate tile that only instructors can use.
Right.
Google Classroom doesn't have that.
Can you hide that section?
Yes, but it's from everybody. So here's the way I worked around that. So when you go to a particular section, I can't even edit it from there. It's sections that are within. So what I did, and I called instructor resources, I created a fake student. So you could either have to share it with all students or no students. It's a binary thing.
Huh.
It could be all students, certain students, or no students.
I see.
But there's no instructor resources,
Right.
no classifications there that I found. Now I did some research on this, and this was one workaround. So if you're using Google Classroom, use your personal email, invite yourself to the class or join the class.
Right.
And then when you want to have things that's only available to teachers, only allow a teacher to see it.
Right.
So that was one way to make it.
It works.
Yeah.
Well, but you could also access instructor resources from the catalog as well.
You could, but I was trying to figure out a way to put them into this course.
Right.
So in there, I have a link to, and this is what instructor resources look
So
like when
linking,
you're on
right.
our portal.
Got it. So they're linking to the.
They're linking to the
doc.
instructor resource doc. Yeah. Yeah. So something to think about if you're trying to figure out how to do instructor resources in a course. So I'm going to make a series of videos just because I'm a nerd and I like to do some things at night and talk about building these courses. And I might just record some of those using Camtasia like we do.
Sure.
And I'll share them out there, but love to hear comments if people think that some training videos about Google Classroom for construction are at all valuable to you. If they're not, maybe I'll make a few just for my own.
Well, Mike, in all of
giggles.
your kind of adventures here, have you figured out any benefit to using another part of the Google suite with all of the other parts of the Google? And so in other words, is Google Classroom better suited for, linking Google Docs or anything?
Yeah. I mean, if you're not a Google Suite user, if you only use Microsoft 365,
Right.
Google Classroom doesn't work well for you.
No, that's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is there some advantage to using Google Classroom other than Schoology with the other
Is there
elements
some
of Google
advances to
Suite?
using Google Class? Oh, why would I use Google Classroom versus Schoology?
Sure. Yeah.
Because Schoology you can't get anymore. You can't create a
right.
free account in Schoology anymore. When we used to use it, they said,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah.
use all this free, and then
Yeah.
if you want to go to Enterprise." I don't think they offer that anymore since
Okay.
they've been sold.
Okay. But there's no functionality you gain by using Google Classroom.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
So if we're comparing the basic version of Schoology to Google Classroom,
Right.
Schoology wins in my mind.
I would agree. I mean,
Um,
hands down.
Right. But
Yeah.
that's still not me giving a glowing endorsement of Schoology.
No.
I think
Well, it's
Canvas
expensive now.
Canvas beats Schoology,
Right.
in my opinion.
Right.
And I think we use Moodle. It's an free open source learning management system. There's no way in hell half of your schools are going to use it because it takes management in the back end. They want to just buy something and have somebody else deal with the problems. I like it because when we have a problem, we deal with it. We don't have to deal with anything else. But if you're a company and you're trying to figure out what do we use, I definitely reach out to me, but I would consider using Moodle and have your own managed learning management system.
Right.
Use our content, of course. And you want to use our premium content because we will give you a digital package of a course that you just do 3 clicks. You get the digital package, it restore it on your end, done. Opened in there, quizzes are done, everything's done, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I've done it.
So, you know what, since we have a few moments before we're going to wrap this up, why don't you go to our learning portal? If anybody's watching this, you can log in to our learning management system at tradeskillsu.com. go ahead and go to measure and mark just because it's, well, you know what? Just we already looked at it. Let's go into PowerSauce.
Okay.
You can create an account. You can go into anything that we have that's listed as open courses. Let me bring it up on Joe's computer. You can look at anything that says open courses and play with it. Look at the content, see what's there. Does it work for what you're trying to do? If you're a teacher, let us know, and we will change your user account from a student to a teacher, just so you can see how Gradebook works, so you could see how student activity things work, all that kind of fun stuff. So all of that is there. Let me get rid of the background. It looks like it's kind of in the way. Turn that off. There we go. So these are how we set things up. This video is just coming up in a pop-up. If you want it that way, it's great. Or hit the full screen button. Go ahead and hit that down there. And it'll go full screen, and students can watch it that way. A lot of them are old. So you look at it, if you look at Joe's got big mutton chops in that video. Those are our COVID ones. Actually, those are the ones we were making when COVID first hit. And then we bought new camera equipment. We really upgraded since then. And you can see some of the other videos like the table saw and the jigsaw, at least from this course. And those are all updated content. And they look a little different.
And the really funny thing is the cameras get better, I get older. I don't understand what that's about.
Well, that's because it actually knows how to focus now.
Oh, look, I got the same shirt on. Look, I have a very limited wardrobe.
Joe's got a closet down here. So for those of you who haven't heard us say in other sessions, this studio we're in right now. Okay, I've got that camera. Is in my basement. And when COVID first hit, and we were in a stay-at-home order, Joe moved into the basement, and we built the studio here. We've kept it here through COVID. I tell you, I think I want to keep it here after we're allowed to be elsewhere. It's just so much easier. But sorry, what I was saying is, I'm pointing down the hall. Actually, down the hall in the guest closet.
That's my
Joe
green room.
That's Joe's green room. It's his dressing room. You've got what, 4 or 5 shirts hung up? And
I'm about 10 now. 10
okay.
shirts. I got a pair of work boots here. I've got my PPEs here and everything. So
your safety socks?
I have my safety socks, yeah. And I've got my safety socks on actually. But the funniest part of this is that I'm always ironing my shirts. And Mike's always, why are you ironing your shirts? Well, I've seen enough of the videos that if you wear it, it looks like some of the shirts look like I slept in them. And that's,
you may have.
Right. So it's supposed to be this work attire, something that looks like you've been working. I've spent many hours working in, not this shirt particularly, but a lot of the other ones, but I'll take the time to iron them. So at least the camera sees them that I'm not a homeless guy. Right? So.
We have one of our partners. We not only have tradeskillsu.com, but we host several other learning platforms. We have one in Virginia that we do on behalf of somebody else. We have one in Nevada from the Southern Nevada HBA. We've got one with a Homemade Works program, which is a great program. And we're going to have a couple of those guys from LA that runs a program that we're doing the program on there on this stream. But in any event, there's a person from our Southern Nevada partner who was the first one to point out, wait a minute, he's always wearing plaid.
Right.
So,
well, she said flannel, but
flannel,
technically it's all plaid.
Yep.
And that's a victory because our first cameras couldn't handle plaid.
That's true.
We had I think the camera was messing with the camera. So we're definitely high tech now because we've got all plaid.
We can handle plaid.
Yeah.
So those of you too, if you ever think about doing live stream from home for your class, for your construction class, or from the shop, you can do it with just a $50 camera. You can do it with your laptop that has a camera, but it's not ideal.
Right.
Certainly, you've all been doing that. But if you had a detachable webcam, and they come of all sizes, shapes, and colors, you can really do a full class, because that's all we're doing when we shoot these videos.
Right.
We're editing later, but you can do it.
But we're not doing it with a $50 camera anymore.
Right. Okay. So look, the camera we did when we first started them, those were $200 webcams, so they were better quality. But the point being is try some things. You can. This camera over there, which is that camera, I bought as a refurbished, and it's a small camcorder.
Right.
So little deals you see people running around taking pictures of their kids as they're playing their soccer game. I don't know, whatever they do.
Right. On a tripod.
On a tripod, and it has a really good zoom to it. That's actually quite a bit of ways away. This one is a more expensive camera. And then this one we have does everything. And that's where our sound goes through and all the fun stuff.
Right.
But I guess what we're trying to say is don't let a low budget stop you from teaching construction from your home studio, your studio at school, which is really just your classroom. You put a camera on it and a microphone, now it's your classroom becomes a studio. Right. So,
and a little bit of lighting. That's and lighting's not that expensive these days.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But a lot of our lighting is just LED panels, and that becomes, lighting used to be a big deal. Now it's very portable and affordable. So
yep. We're always willing to share any information with you. We have a device here that we use that switches cameras around and that kind of stuff. That's a bigger investment, but it's not a huge investment.
Right.
So you can do all sorts of things. So I was doing an interview on a live stream with someone else prior to jumping on here, and we'll package that one up and put it out next week. That's all right. We don't need it. But she runs a painting and decorating class, Burke's Career, out of Pennsylvania, I believe.
Right.
And anyway, their COVID cases just hit a level where they can't send any students to the career course. They're one of those central hub high schools, and like 5 or 6 different districts are sending students to them. But now they're getting no students starting today. Everybody had to go home. But starting tomorrow, the teachers and administration will be on campus and streaming their classes from campus. Right. So the school has, remember the old AV days, and you would go and you get the projector and bring it to class. They're doing that now with cameras, with video camera, tripod, and some cables, and it can plug into your laptop, and it plugs in as a webcam. So she's going to start doing class from her classroom, and all the students are home. And she has every intention to keep up with the same intention she had, short of the hands-on training, obviously. But everything she wanted to do, she's going to go through and just have to do it and talk about it.
And I guess my hope for all of this, if there's anything good that comes of it, is that we get very practiced at it and we get comfortable with this whole blended learning model, and we do not abandon it once the vaccine comes and everybody's safe and feels safe again. Because to me, I am a true believer that if you can front load all of the students' knowledge and experience before they end up with you, you end up with nothing more than a better and extended time to do all of the hands-on work that they need to do.
You're 100% correct. I asked her that question too. I had asked, it said, well, okay, let's say COVID's gone.
Right.
Do you think you're still going to use some of what you learned as far as online and all that kind of stuff? And 100% she said, yeah, if we can now maximize more hands-on time because more of the lecture can be done online, self-paced, fantastic.
Right. Well, I want to hear more of those. I hear when I hear the trainer that's struggling with technology and just almost complaining about it.
We hear that a lot.
And I want to kind of grab them and say, you know, this is where it's headed, or at least I'd like to believe.
Quit your belly aching because this isn't going away.
Well, that's my hope. Right. But if they want to abandon it and and they want to go back to the classroom only experience for students, it could happen in their program.
I don't think so. I think, and like we talk about as the title for these conversations, is teaching in the 21st century.
Yeah.
If we are not prepared to meet our students, the 21st century students, and meet them where they are, what will happen is our industry will suffer.
Right.
So if teachers try to do that, I hope to hell that we have industry that says, wait, what do you need? Right. Because during COVID time, we proved this could happen. So what resources do you need? Reason I say that is it's not infinite, meaning every time you go to the supplier, I need more wood, I need more of this, I need more of this. Industry can do an investment to create instructional resources. It's a one-time purchase and say, here it is. Now stop coming back to the well.
So sustainable training. the academy, when we were there, it was always this question about how to get the students through the program faster, so that the cost to keep
bring
the cost down,
sure.
right? And
Sure.
it's a perfect solution for that.
Mhm.
For schools, I'm always amazed at how little time there is and how short the time is. Whatever session, if you got lucky, you had a 90-minute, like a 2-block. Most of the time, you had 45 minutes, and sometimes even shorter. And it was just, you can't even get set up and do anything and tear down hardly in that amount of time, especially if you're trying to deliver the online stuff.
There's still a lot of schools that have that 45-minute window.
Right.
I give them all credit in the world. I love when you see schools that have that block opportunity.
Right.
Or even half day, like Rachel, who I was talking to today. I think she's got them half day twice a week. Or, geez, I hope you watch this, but it's Dave and Steve, and I forget the name of your school, but they're in Illinois, I think. But in any event, they've got half a day 3 or 4 times a week. This is all without COVID schedule and all that kind of bullshit. But
well, and I know review doesn't go away. You don't get out of the classroom completely with blended learning. It might put you in the classroom, maybe not as much, but almost as much. But it also, in my mind, what the online stuff does is gives your students a voice in your classroom, which I always found to be missing if you had to deliver all the content.
Mm-hmm.
The students can show up like our Pottstown students with questions, with sometimes answers. And if you can involve them and they're not just being spoken to all the time, which is my least favorite mode of teaching.
I told them, why don't they know it?
Right. It gives them a different voice.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about that. And it gives them an opportunity to know something and to share it with the group. And it's just a win-win. It's hard for me I would be very sad to see it go away.
I don't think it will. And I think we are here to provide you resources so it doesn't. And so when you are doing it online, you can do it effectively. You can do it in a quality way, and it could take the pain off of you.
Right.
We've heard from several of our partners that are like, geez, I thought I was in trouble until I found some of the resources that you guys provide. Now I can go online, and some of them graduate up to do the premium services. Some of them don't. And we get it. And that's okay, depending on what your budget provides. But I think that the short of it is keep using technology, because that is what your students are expecting.
Right.
And you can make your life easier to do it.
I think and we all need that when we're training, for sure.
Right.
And the more students you have, the more important that becomes.
Right. So we're going to wrap. I didn't see anybody jump on. Here's the problem with these live streams. I don't know the schedule that's right for people to watch them live, because that way we can have questions come in. But even the one we posted last week that had terrible audio because of the audio problem we had at the beginning, that got a bunch of views afterwards.
What's that whistling?
What's that whistling? Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, watch that. It's Joe and I looking like doofuses hearing a tiny, tiny whistle, which on your end, and if you watch the video, is incredibly loud and annoying.
Screaming feedback.
Right. It goes away, but you can watch some of the other stuff. Put in comments, shoot us an email if you think a video series that you can watch in your own time about Google Classroom is at all of value to you. If it is, great. I'm glad to work on it. I'm glad to make some of those courses and work out together some of the bugs of how to use it. If it's not, tell me that too, and I won't waste my time. What we do want to know from you is you've seen our instructional resources, or if you haven't, get your butt over to teachconstruction.org, create an account, and look at some of those resources. We need to know what else you want. We're starting to redo our plumbing course today. Mm-hmm. Joe has taken a bunch of pictures. We've got a white light box over there. So all the pictures in our presentations, unless cited otherwise, are ours. So you don't have to worry about copyright infringement stuff. But we're starting the Introduction to Plumbing, which will be very similar to the Introduction to Electrical course, which is available for on our free subscription.
Right.
This is an intro. This is what are the tools, what are the basic techniques. Probably half a semester's worth of work at most.
Right.
It's not intended to be a whole course. We will work on full courses. But what we need to hear from you is, what content do you need? What do you need in your classroom? Is it how to make a truss? Is it how to install a window? Is it how to sweat a pipe? We don't know. Tell us what you need so we know what order to work on things.
Right.
I already heard today we need level 2 painting content. Rachel was saying we really need more stuff and really wants a deeper dive into paint content, which I might reach out to Benjamin Moore and say, hey, let's work. I'm sure they'd be glad to talk about what's really in paint. But
the truth of all the trades are there's really no bottom to the pit of information to deliver. True. I mean, it just starts growing. We're talking pre-apprentice to, I mean, when you start, especially if it's an interior designer, there might be some custom.
Yeah, there's going to be stuff she wants that we can't do. We just don't have the skill set.
But some of the competencies that we were pulling off the California competency list was graphics applications and wall coverings, not paint wall coverings, but we're going back to wallpaper.
Well, actually, no. Paper's taking a huge resurgence, and that's one of the things that she was saying is, I want content for paper hanging. And we'll have to find somebody else to help it do it if we ever get into it. But
I thought I'd never see that again. You know?
I didn't think so either. But paper was big. My grandfather was a paper hanger.
Well, my parents did it.
Oh, did they?
They would do rooms and rooms, and I was there to mix the paste.
To get in the way?
Yeah, come on.
You're probably the kid eating the paste.
They would not size the walls, though, which if you've ever had to remove wallpaper, you know that the cardinal sin is if you don't size the walls first, that wallpaper will never come off. So the next guy that's trying to get it off is in big trouble. But anyway, easy process that they would leave out shortcut, right? So,
Anyway. So anyway, bottom line, tell us what kind of content you want. We have a big head. We want to finish up plumbing before New Year. I want to have that course out the beginning of the year. Windows comes out on Monday, but that's not part of our free content. But several of it is on our YouTube channel. So the course won't be free, the quiz, all the other teacher resources. But we do have 3 and we'll have 4 lessons right on our YouTube channel. So go there. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. It really helps us out. And use those resources.
Yep.
So let us know what you want to hear about in content, so we're not just blathering for 45 minutes on a Wednesday, or maybe we will be.
Maybe.
So
I can do it. I'm good at that.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks. See you.